To be on here and visiting with you guys today. I want to take a painting that I did during an art lesson, and I had to keep it real simple because the kiddos were young. So very, very simple, and we're going to take this up a notch. So maybe let's call it flipping. We're going to flip this canvas and take it up a notch, make it way more exciting, and maybe something a little more like this one, right? So let's take it to something a little bit more like this. So I'm going to show you how to go from basic to more exciting. And we're going to do this all together step by step, and I will walk you through it. So I have a plate full of paint, and we're going to use some standard brushes. These are just like Crayola. I think they're Crayola, actually. Kid-friendly. No, maybe they're not. They're not Crayola, but just kid-friendly brushes, just like these. And our acrylics, and then we've got a water cup so that we can wash our brushes out. And then we're gonna get started. So this scarf is rather basic, right? So I'm gonna add some color. Now, this red is kind of bright. So if we want to make it more Christmassy, we take a little bit of green, mix that in with our red, and we keep adding green until we get it where we like it, okay? Gotta stay away from that white or we'll go pink with it. Now this red is much more Christmassy. Now we do not want to paint with a globby brush, so I'm gonna knock all of that extra off, just like so. And then we're gonna add this to our scarf. So I'm gonna do a little sweep, and a little sweep, sweep. We're gonna curve this way now, this way, this way. Little curve here. Whoop, don't bounce around on me, little guy. And here. The more pressure you put on your brush, the thicker your brush strokes will be. The more gentle you are with your brush, the thinner your brush strokes will be. Now we could leave this green and just jazz it up a little later. I think that's a good idea. So I'm gonna take, kind of touch up these ends just a smidge. There we go. All right. Fabulous. So now we're going to take this brush and we're going to get it all nice and clean. So I'm going to rub that around in the bottom of my water cup. It's okay to smush that brush around a little bit in the bottom of the water cup. Swipe it on the side, no tapping. And then we give it a good drying. And it's not quite clean. So I'm going to wash it again. Sweep it. All right. So while this sets up a little bit, we could come work on the hat. Now, same rule. This is kind of a bright green. So if I take some of this red, mix this in with my green, it's going to deepen that up. And the reason we can do the red and green and red is because they are complementary colors, okay? So I'm going to take this, get that extra off. There we go. Get that extra off. And we can work on darkening this up just a little. And I'm doing little sweeps, kind of like lazy C's and then lazy backwards C's. Little sweepy sweepies up here. Quick little sweepy sweepies. Now, the softer you are with your brush, the thinner your brush strokes will be. The harder you push down with your brush, the thicker your brush strokes will be. So that's something that you definitely want to think about, right? So I'm going to take this and clean this brush off. And sweep it on the inside of the cup, dry it on the napkin. Now, our bear looks pretty cute, but just for the sake of things, I'm gonna take this white paint, and this is way too much on my brush. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sweep it off. And somehow there's a bunch of orange in my white. So we don't want that at all. Oh no. Let's try over here. Okay, so we're gonna sweep this off on our brush. Now there's teal. Ah, that's okay. And we're just gonna dabby, dabby, dabby it. All on there. And the reason we put it on our napkin first and not directly onto our canvas is because we don't want too much on there at one time. So see, we just dabby this all on here. And we purposefully get it on our background. And the reason we do that is so that it actually looks pretty furry, right? There we go. So again, I'm just kind of gently tapping the brush up, down, and adding what's maybe kind of looks like fur. So we get that all on there. There we go. I got to get close to the mouth without messing it up. And then we want to get a little bit down here. So we're going to get down in here as well. Quick little dabs. There we go. So now we've upped our texture a little bit. Awesome. Okay, and I feel like this gray could be improved some. So I'm going to come in, repaint that. Up close, it looks a little streaky, so I'm just going to add another layer of paint on there to help with that streakiness. We don't want to see that. We could even leave that a little darker under the nose so it looks like a bit of a shadow. All right. There, that's going to look a lot smoother. And then after that dries some, we'll be able to add the mouth back on. And I think that would look really nice. So now I'm going to take my baby brush and let's go in with some black and do some touch-ups on here on these eyes where I got a little extra with my fur dabbies. There we go. Maybe our little friend needs some eyebrows. There we go. That could help, right? That's cute. Give it a little personality. Definitely got to add a mouth in here. All right. So we're just flicking, just kind of very, very gently with our brush, gliding, and then flicking at the end. We could go in with a little darker pink, so if we mix some red and white together, we'll get a pink. Okay, and we can get that nose outlined, or we could go ahead and fill it all the way in. And then go back with some white and kind of highlight that in there. Just kind of keep rubbing that paint in and it'll blend. So this is just the teensiest bit of white, and we just blend, 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 blend right in there like that. We could even add just a little sweep, sweep at the top. We could come in here to the ears, darken those up just a little. Yes. Same thing, come in with just a smidge of white, kind of blend that in. And so by softening up the top of the ear, inside the ears, it just adds like a little bit of depth maybe. So it doesn't look quite so flat. Darken up the bottom. So darken up the bottom. There we go. All right. Now, I think I could go in with some green on the scarf. So I'm going to just do those thick sweeps, thick, gentle sweeps. There we go, because when I push too hard, I get way out of the lines. Here we go. And again, we're almost there. Just quick little sweep, sweep, sweep. There we go. And then I'll use my medium brush that I have on hand. So not that little baby guy, but the medium guy. And we'll work on adding a little bit more red maybe in here. Just to make sure it's the same red as down below, because this was my red from the other day, which it looks like it's pretty close. Trying to kind of take my time so I don't get on my green. There we go. Now this red, whoop, should all be dry enough where I could take some white and kind of fluff that in. We'll see, it might not be. I guess we could add a few more shines to the eye. So we've got our shines, and then we could even do like a little extra. So we've got our big shine and a little extra. There we go. It's like extra happy bear. You could add eyelashes. You could add some like little rosy cheeks. Let's see, if I add just a teensy bit of pink to some gray. Kind of scared. Oh, yeah, that's really dark. Kind of rosy up the cheeks a little. Would that even be a thing? I don't know. It is now. There we go. So now we've got some little rosy cheeks. I could take some white and just kind of dabby that on. Just to sort of match the other texture that's already on the face, right? So I'm just dabbying on some straight white. Here we go. Now, I'm gonna start with my medium brush, but I'll probably have to switch to my baby brush. And I'm gonna come in on all of my whites and just add some quick little sweeps of white, or on top of all of my reds. What did I just say? And add some little sweeps of white. There we go. So these are like really quick little sweep, sweep, sweeps with not very much paint on my brush. That one's still wet. I'm not the best at sweeping up. So usually what I do is flip my bear upside down to paint those brush strokes, but I'm gonna try. Go. So now by adding these sweeps of white in there, I mean, it does make it less bold, so I don't know how you feel about that, but it makes it more fluffy looking, more wintry looking, right? There we go. Oh, we gotta do over here. There. Now we got to do the same thing to our greens. Need to clean my brush. It's looking pink instead of white. There we go. Then we'll come across the bottom. Sweep that up. Remember to follow the curves. There we go. Maybe we need a little extra something over here. Kind of match the other side. Definitely add some up in that little foo-foof. Pom-pom up there. And then we got to come down here to our greens, just like we did our reds. There we go. And flick up from the bottom. Yes. There we go. All right. Whoop. Sorry, just knocked my tripod. Okay, so now that looks way more exciting as far as the scarf and everything goes. If the edge of your scarf is kind of bothering you, you can always go in and sort of clean that up. So we can calm that down a little, clean it up a little. There we go. Same thing over here, kind of clean up our scarf edge just a little. And of course, we don't want it to be too perfect, so we got to go in and kind of scuff up those edges just a little. And then we could even add like some fringe, little sweepy things at the end of our scarf that are blowing in the wind. All right. There we go. And then what about our background? We don't want to leave our background so plain. So we could add some snowflakes by dipping the bottom of our paintbrush into our white paint. You can get a few drops out of it, or dips out of it, dots out of it, whatever you want to call them. And then you got to re-dip. We could even like flick some of these, so I could like flick up. Maybe something like that. So you basically just flip up, diagonal, 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 up, diagonal, 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 diagonal. Make us some little snowflakes in there. Cute. So that instantly takes it up a notch just by all these extra little things that we did. So we literally just like flipped our canvas, took it up a notch, made it way more exciting. We could turn this into a girl, give her some lashes. Since she's got the pink cheeks and the heart nose, maybe she's got to be a girl. Oh yes, fabulous girl. All right. Now you could even take like some glitter. I could sprinkle that on a few of my stars. So that could be fun. Only while your paint's wet. If your paint dries, it won't stay. There we go. And that, my friends, I don't know if you can see the sparkle, is how to take a very basic painting and upscale into a way more exciting painting. So thank you guys so much for watching. This was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoy painting. I love painting. I used to not be very good at it, but the more I have practiced and the more I have practiced and the more I have practiced, I feel like the better I've gotten. So it just takes time. It's a journey, and I believe in you. So you got to believe in yourself. You got to start somewhere. So take one of those paintings that you've already done at home and sit down with some paint, some different size brushes, water cup, napkins, and think, what could I do here? What could I do there? Like, think about layers that you can put on. The more layers we can put on in our lights, mediums, and darks of colors, the more exciting our painting will be. So thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I hope that you have an amazing weekend and rest of your week, and happy holidays.